Well, hello everyone. How are you all doing? How's everybody doing? What's going on? Oh my goodness, what is this? Oh, welcome back. How's everybody doing? This thing is all kinds of weird. I'm gonna fix that. There we go. That's better. Hey, thanks for coming in and hanging out. What's going on, everybody? Why do I feel like things are like super hot? I'm just taking a look and it looks like the levels are hitting a little hard. Let's do this. Oh. That's why. Hang on. I got this. I had to do a lot of last minute setups. You're going to hear a volume drop. There we go. So now my voice should be decent. Well, you know, we'll say. What's going on, everybody? I'll actually even put this out a little, because that'll help. And we're going to get into this guy, because that's what we're doing today. We're going to do microphones. Music to Motion's here. Caleb's here. Kyle's here. What's going on, everybody? Brian's here. Let's see. Caleb stopped his own live stream to come hang out here. Thank you for that. Let's see. Catching up with everybody. How's everybody been? I was watching Bachman and Bachman. Nice. Let's see. Let the mic myths flow. Exactly. And if you guys have questions about microphones, how they work, what's going on, things like that, by all means, put them in the chat and we'll get to them. Oh, Smudge is here! Smudge burning the 3 a.m. oil. What? You guys have to tell me, is my mic just like clipping like crazy? Because to me, it looks like it is. Maybe I can drop it back down a little bit over here too. Mastering in the boxes here, burning the 3 a.m. oil. You need more than one? Yeah, who knows? You know, it's very late and I've had a few. He's going. You can't make good music without a U87. Sure you can. What about a U47? What about a U67? What about a U87? You can use that with all of them, and some of the other ones we're going to get into today. I popped on a couple myself. Nice. Everybody's going to say that the robot's going. Yes, yes, yes. Harley's here. DJ Big Red is here. What's going on, guys? Had to lean in. AI is here. Still very loud. I think it's better now. It's still loud? I wonder if... hang on. Oh, I know what it is. It's this. It's probably way better now. Things are definitely looking better. And I'm going to put it closer to my mouth. It's probably way better now. It's a thing I changed. And now, yes, okay, see, it's much better now. I'll admit, making mistakes. But today, we're using an 1824C. And this isn't my normal thing. But there's a reason we're using this, is because we're going to put a bunch of different microphones in at the same time. And my UA Apollo only has 2 inputs. And I needed a little bit more than that, So that's why we switched over to the 1824 to kind of figure out what's going on with microphones. Occasionally the right channel clips is probably better now. At least I hope it is. That's my hopes anyway. Let me come back over here, make sure things are looking good, which I believe they are. Coming over here. This is 3.4, and 3.4 should only be getting the DAW out, and I believe it is. And it's coming over here. Okay, we're definitely in a good spot. Mastering limiter in the chain somewhere helps. It's not clipping. It's my video encoder. That thing's like, it's not great. It's one of the Elgato cheapy little puck things. It's not great. I'm looking into something else. Actually, I have a couple things in mind. I had to talk to my buddy, but things will be changing relatively soon. That's the reason that you were hearing any clips, but you're not gonna hear it. I swear. For some reason, when I record, it only goes into the right side, even when I do left and right stereo. Are you creating mono tracks or are you creating stereo tracks? Should I mono one left, one right? AI Shine You let me know, are you recording a mono source like a voice like we're going to be doing today, or are you going to be recording a stereo source like drum rooms, drum overheads, piano, things of that nature? You're recording stereo sources. Okay, and you're only getting things on the right. So multiple things are immediately hitting my head. What kinds of things are you recording? Because if it's something like a keyboard and you're just kind of going quarter inch out into your interface, that's different from if you're setting up multiple microphones. So, why are you stereo vocals? Why are you doing stereo vocals? Vocals in stereo for an effect? Because what I would do, or what I would suggest anyway, is don't record your vocals in stereo. Record them multiple times in mono and then pan them out in stereo. Newbie. So think of it like this. I have a video out talking about mono versus stereo. Think of the source. You only have one mouth, right? And you probably only have one microphone. And you only need one microphone to pick up the one mouth. So that's mono. Everything we're talking about right now is mono. Just one channel, here's your vocal. But if you want that stereo sound, or you want some spread in your vocals, record it twice. If you record it twice, hang on, I'm going to turn the fan off over here. If you record it twice and then push those two separate recordings, not just recorded once and duplicated, but two different takes on two different tracks. Take those, and like in your choruses, you can push those out to the sides and you'll get this really nice, wide stereo vocal. But it's still only recorded on a mono track. Still clipping right speaker, unless I really... No, it's definitely me. Hang on. I'll just turn it down a little from over here again, and it should be much better now. But I appreciate you guys being honest. Like I said, it's not usually coming from this. It's usually something else, so it's going to be a little different today. It's not a problem with anything. It's just this setup isn't ready for this. This is a good unit. It's just not ready for it. Okay, Chappie's here. Hey, Chappie. Super clipping. Yeah, it's better now. Super hot. Michael. Okay. I know. I fixed it, guys. I fixed it. I'm kind of scrolling back a little bit, and now I'm gonna catch up with you guys. Okay. Microphones. First, let's talk kinds of microphones. And there's different styles of microphones. And we're going to go over, I have 3 different that we can go over today, but I'm going to talk about the 4th one, and there's probably more. But we have the basics out there. You have your dynamic microphones. You have your condenser microphones. You have your ribbon microphones, which unfortunately we're not going to get really into today. We'll talk about them, but we're not going to get into them. And you have your boundary microphones, or piezos. First, let's talk about dynamic microphones, and the most iconic one ever, the Shure SM57. This guy right here, $100. $100 gets you this thing. And the way that this thing works is sound goes in here. This is pointed at whatever you want to point it at. And its design, and this is something else we're going to get into, is polar patterns, and that's how microphones listen. But first, let's talk about like the actual physical mechanics of how this is recording your sounds. Inside here, inside this top bit on the top, there is what is essentially a tweeter or a woofer in your speakers or your headphones. It's the exact same kind of thing, and it's a little smaller. If you think like headphones, it's small depending on the size of the microphone. Like this one is only about that big. So this is, think of it like a little speaker. It's a diaphragm. Is what it's called. I forgot to grab something, but it's fine. So it's a sheet of whatever the manufacturer makes, and we're not going to get into it. Are you sure it's a Shure? Spot on did the trick. Okay, fix it. Everything sounds good. John says it sounds good. Robert is here. Am I sure it's a Shure? This one, actually, maybe not. That's why I have a backup. This might be one of the, I unfortunately, from a friend of mine, got a Chinese knockoff, which didn't sound good. Okay, so dynamic microphones work kind of the same way that your speakers or your headphones do, but they, instead of putting the sound out, they listen for the sound. So there's, let's call it a paper. There's a piece of paper in here, and on the back side of the piece of paper is a tube, and around that tube is a whole bunch of copper just spun around, millions or hundreds of times. Not millions, but that copper tube is wrapped around a magnet, but it can't touch it. When sound comes and hits the diaphragm, it pushes it in a little bit. When that sound pushes that diaphragm in a little bit, it pushes the coil that's attached to it, the copper coil, over the magnet. So it kind of does, ready for this one, if this is the magnet, and here's the coil, you could put 2 and 2 together. It pushes and pulls. Okay. So that push and pull, because when, let's say you're speaking into it, there's a positive air pressure. But this happens so fast that the sound goes in and out like this, really, really fast. Hundreds, if not thousands of times per second. Hertz, kilohertz, etc., etc. That vibration of the coils around the magnet causes an electrical field disturbance, and that's captured on the cables and sent out the microphone on your XLR. That's the way a dynamic microphone works. This got real X-rated real quick. It got real weird for a minute. I understand that. Yes, Kyle's right. I'm catching up with everybody. But yes, the most used microphone probably on the planet. $100. Presidents have used it. Foreign dignitaries, famous musicians, famous engineers, schools, that you really can't go wrong. And it's solid, it's durable. If I was in somewhere where it was quiet, you can really, these things are extraordinarily durable. Boundary mics are not piezo mics. Piezo is contact mic. Pzm measures pressure off of the surface. Caleb, thank you for the clarification. Sometimes I'll admit, I make mistakes, and I did get that one wrong. So thank you for clearing that up. So yeah, Kyle said diaphragm with a coil over a magnet. Coiled wire, yep. Sound pressure moves the diaphragm, which moves the coil back and forth over the magnet, which induces electrical current. Yes, absolutely. This got X-rated real quick. Yes, I know. Modridan. My mom said I have to leave because I got too adult in here. I'm sorry to go, Brian. Things happen from week to week. Maybe next week we won't talk about moving coils. I get it. It's Tim the Science Guy. Well, sometimes. What AKG is that? We're going to get into that one in a little bit. That guy's coming up next. Actually, so very quickly before we move on, and we'll go to that guy, this microphone, and this microphone, and this microphone all work the same way. And yes, these just happen to be 3 Shure microphones. But they are all dynamic microphones. They all have some form of diaphragm in them, with a moving coil that goes over a magnet that causes a change in an electrical field that is picked up by wires and shot out to wherever you need it to go. Okay? They all work the same way. They don't all sound the same, but they all work the same way. The basic principle is exactly the same. Are you sure, Steve? Are you? Are you? We're gonna be silly. Let's be silly. Why not? Let's see. Hey everyone. Does an audio box USB 2 channel versus a more expensive interface improve sound quality when recording and playback? Yes. Depending on the company that makes it and a bunch of different factors, the A to D quality, so the analog to digital converter. Some will say you can kind of get away with a cheaper one because it's just going to turn it to ones and zeros. But really the more important thing is the D to A converter, the stuff that's coming back out of the computer to the analog world. The D to A converter is a higher grade. You actually will hear that. Things will be deeper. You'll have, you'll be able to push things in 3 dimensions when you're actually listening to it, which is really awesome. So the more expensive converters or interfaces or anything like that you get, then you'll actually hear the difference. And it's unfortunately, it's not really something you can do in a video. You sort of can, but whatever your playback device is going to change how you're listening to it, because that's the digital to analog converter. Even if it's just the speakers in your laptop or your phone or something, there is a digital to analog converter in there. So you're kind of subjected to that one. You might hear some stuff, but really you have to hear it through your speakers or your headphones in your room. Billy Morgan, what's going on? Presonus only for Chappie. So even still, with the higher end gear for Presonus, and by higher end, like, things like the Quantum, the 192s, the 1824s, there is a difference because it's a higher end piece of gear. So again, they can, they're able to put better, subjectively better components into those higher pieces of gear because they have more functions, they have more features, and you're able to actually, put more of that stuff in it, and you get it for that price. Once you leave the world of Presonus, things change again, and it's really like, Presonus probably has a deal with whomever creates their digital to analog converters, whichever chip that they're using for the USB audio box 2s or 96s or any of those things versus the 1824C versus the Quantums. Everything's changed. Sure, isn't that a roll-on? Badumps. So does it improve? So does it improve the sound? Yes. Yes, it does. Talk about the bird and the coils. Oh well, maybe when you're older, Kyle. We gotta get me a bow tie. I'll dress up like Bill Nye. I got no problem. That guy was brilliant. Still is. Robert Atkins, the Shure SM7B. Yes, that's what this guy is. This is the Shure SM7B. He's a big boy, but he's a dynamic, just like his little brother. This guy. Even in the same model, they will have a small difference. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. I'm catching up. 9 Electromatic. What's going on? You like your 192, but still prefer the preamps and the Sapphire Pro 40 for vocals, especially. Yeah, again, the analog to digital or the analog to digital converter for Focusrite is a different one from the Presonus ones, and it's different from Universal Audio, and it's different from Burl, and it's different from Apogee. Like, everybody has their own chips and how it's in their circuits, so there are audible differences, but it's not really something that you can put across in a video like this. Okay, you guys were asking. Let's go back over this way. I don't think you heard that because I don't have a track made. I hope you didn't. Did you guys hear a pop a second ago? I hope not. Okay, let's move on to our next kind of microphone. That's a condenser microphone. Condenser microphones frequently will look like this guy. This is the AKG C414. This is the, which model is this? I think it's the XL2 is the one I have. So I have an XL2. They've been making these for a very long time. But the way that this one works, and we're actually going to do a lot with this today. Yes, you did get a pop. Okay, because that I must have. Oh, you shouldn't have gotten a pop. That was very weird. It was very weird. I'm sorry you did. That's so weird. Okay, well, I'll give you a warning next time. I know it was the phantom power, but I need phantom power for this guy. So, and we'll get into this in a bit. This also is a condenser microphone, but it's a shotgun condenser microphone. There's differences, but okay. Condenser microphones. These are built on very similar, but also very different kinds of capsules. And I don't know if you can see it, but inside the grill there, and you actually can, there's that circle. And if you can see the circle inside there, that is actually the part that is picking up whatever thing you have in front of it. That's the diaphragm. And this is built, it's a very, very, very thin diaphragm that is typically gold sputtered or gold itself. Usually just like sputtered with gold. And that is up against a solid backing. So the backing doesn't move, but the diaphragm itself has metal on it because it's electrified. And this is why you need phantom power. It's because you actually need to electrify the some of the components, like in the body of the microphone itself, but you need to electrify the capsule so that when it moves, it creates the same kind of magnetic difference, and that magnetic difference, or the electrical difference, the pressure, sends the actual signal down through the guts of the microphone and then out the cable that way. So the cool thing about these microphones in particular, not all, but the cool thing about, like, especially this one, but not... Where's the other guy I got? I should have prepared a little better. This guy, you might be able to see it. I'm going to get way close in there. Maybe something like that. In here is another circle. And yeah, I'm slowly moving it around to try and find it. And actually what I might be able to do is something along the lines of that. There, like if I do something like this, you can actually see the diaphragm inside of this microphone. Not like that. Like that's a little better. You can see it's blocking it. And turn that off. So the differences between these two, and we're not going to get into price really. Yes, we are going to get into polar patterns. I'm going to try and go through the other kinds of microphones relatively quick. But yes, we're going to go into polar patterns. We're going to use this guy to do it because it's really going to demonstrate how microphones listen. So we are going to get into it. So the difference between these two microphones are both condenser microphones, and let alone price. I'm up here flaunting gold. Well, even this one. This one is, I think I spent $75 or $100 on this thing. I was using it for a podcast I was on for a little while, a long time ago. Actually, almost 5 years ago at this point. $100 microphone. Still gold sputtered. 13, over $1,000 microphone. Also gold sputtered. Don't let the grill throw you off, which does change how microphones listen. The grill does impart a sound to the diaphragm because it's how it breaks up the air hitting the diaphragm. But we're not going to get into that right now. So we've gone over, but essentially these two work the same way. You have to feed them phantom power in order to get your electrical field to change. The difference between this one and this one is the Behringer, and this is the B1, the Behringer only listens in cardioid. And that's a polar pattern. That's how the microphone listens. Where the AKG 414 has selectable polar patterns because it has two diaphragms. This one, the Behringer, only has one diaphragm and it's facing out. The AKG actually has two diaphragms back to back. So there's a hard plate in the middle. Typically, it's actually, I think it's ceramic usually. Maybe not for this one, but. So there's a hard plate in the middle, and then there's two diaphragms facing outwards. And how you activate the diaphragms is how the microphone listens. So if this side, for you guys, if this side is the front of the microphone, you can only charge this diaphragm. And so the hard plate in the middle and the other diaphragm aren't going to do anything. And so that's going to pick up as cardioid. If you want to power on both in a certain way, you can do that. And you can either have it be a figure of 8, so it hears it reverse, kind of like this, or it can be, however much you have it powered on, because you can resist how much power it gets. You can go anywhere from cardioid to hypercardioid, supercardioid, figure of 8, or omnidirectional. And we're going to get into all that. Those are polar patterns, and we're going to get into it. Okay, let's move on to another kind of microphone. What do we have? Here it is. This is a Pzm microphone, or a boundary microphone, they're often called as well. Okay, this one has its own cable, which is cool. So this little guy is surface mount. You typically would use something like this. They get used, or they used to get used in conference rooms a lot. You would just put one on the desk, and then you turn it on, and it feeds your that feeds your call to all the other people that you're on a conference call with, or it's your Q&A for the guy that's way in the back. Like, you just throw one of these on the table and you walk away, because whatever, I'll turn that on when I need to. And the way this works is there is, again, it's a little it's almost like a crown. I forget what it's made of. Sorry. Not that you guys are really here to find out exactly how to build microphones. But it has a very similar kind of function like the other ones. It's that discrepancy when this, when it flexes, when it hears, it creates an electrical signal that gets fed out the cable. And then there you go. And there are pros and cons to why you would use all these different microphones, and there's different use cases and things like that. Another famous boundary microphone, it's not this one, is the Shure Beta 91. And that, honestly, you throw it inside of a kick drum. It sounds really good. Gives you a nice attack on your kick drum. If you throw a 91, you throw the Shure 91, the Beta 91, whatever. You throw the Shure 91 into a kick drum, and then maybe something a little bit bigger, like you could do like a dynamic microphone on the outside, something like the AKG D112 or the Shure Beta 52 or the Audix D6. Those are all dynamic microphones you could put on the outside, or you can do something. Even, it also is technically a dynamic microphone, but the Yamaha Subkick or the Solomon Mic's Impact, I think it is. I can't remember. They have a very similar kind of thing where it's a speaker in an enclosure, because it works the same way. I mean, the speaker is a diaphragm that just works in opposite. That feeds a signal out, where dynamic microphones feed the signal in. Let me catch up with you guys real quick. You guys talking about the pop. You have a Rode NTK with an SPL preamp. Very nice. I can even record my heartbeat. Yes. Again, if you got enough gain on some of these things, it's really good. We were hearing you on the AKG more than on the Rode before. Weird. Are things sounding okay now? It's so weird. That's so weird. You're gonna, yes, we are going to get into polar patterns. See, this is how far back I'm going. Cardioid, heart shape, listening pattern. You can refer to it. I mean, that's where it gets its idea. I thought getting a Yeti microphone that has polar patterns. It's desktop mic and it's $130. That's probably the USB one, because the Yetis are mostly those. They're okay for like your video conference calls and like your streams like this, or if you're gonna set up streams yourself. But if you're gonna be doing recording, I would actually steer away from the Yeti. Not Blue, just the USB mics that Blue makes. They're very affordable, but they have a purpose for streams like this or whoever. I would kind of stick away from them. Any idea what is the attached part on that Sony 10,000 mic? I think you're talking about the Sony C800, and that's a heatsink for the tube that's inside. The one he's talking about. I wonder if I can do this real quick, and I'm gonna pull it up over here, and then we'll show you. Let me see if I can get this to pop up real quick. But if you're talking the Sony C800. It's a heatsink because there's a tube inside. That's a tube microphone, and they didn't want the tube to get too hot to really warp the diaphragm, because that can happen with tube microphones. I actually have a tube microphone down here. No, we're not shopping. I wanted images. Google Images. Beep. Let me just do this. And then we'll go into here. He's talking this guy, I think. You let me know if you're talking this guy. And I'm just going to do... and no, I'm just going to leave it like this. This is fine. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming in. It doesn't matter that you're late, man. We're still doing things. So yeah, if you're talking this, and you're talking this guy, if you're talking this big part at the back here, this is a heat sink for this tube. This way it just draws the heat away and dissipates it into the room. Damon, if I send a track, could you play it and tell me if there's any mistakes? Absolutely. There's a few ways that you can do that if you want to send it to me. One is in an email, which absolutely you can email me, info@timflansbaum.com, and I'm going to ask Music to Motion if he can put that into the chat for me because my chat is broken right now, apparently. Or what you can do is join the Discord. There's a link to my Discord in the description of this video, and we have a mix feedback channel where you can throw your mixes in and get feedback from the community, which we are building. So guys, please come and join and hang out and gain more knowledge, share with each other, learn from each other, and build everything up. So Damon, there's two different ways. You can email me or you can join the Discord. Streaming is getting choppy and buffering for me. Going to refresh and see if it improves. I hope it does, because everything looks good from my end. My CPU is low, my GPU is not really doing much. Maybe a little something happens, but... Blades... Rode NT1 here. Is it the NT1 or is it the NT1A? Different mic. With the Presonus 1824C here. Had it for years and it's the only thing I use. Got a snowball for USB and it and really basic streaming. Yeah, I got a snowball too. There's the snowball, blue snowball. It's a USB mic. I thought I was gonna stream for a little while, so I got it, and now look at me. I'm streaming again. But I have a different setup. I was thinking about streaming video games, but you have an LYX Pro condenser mic. I don't know if I know that one, Damon. I don't know. I'm going to look that one up. I'm looking at getting the Rode NT1. This would be my only condenser mic for vocals. Yes, there are some people that it doesn't sound good for because it can be a little top-endy. So it can be a little harsh, but you can counteract that with some EQ. But again, it really depends on the source. That's why having a bunch of different microphones is nice. Or you can do something like the Townsend Labs modeler microphone, the Slate modeling microphone. You know, you can have a bunch of different microphones in your closet. Robert, oh, I see. I thought about using it for record acoustic guitar through the stereo polar pattern. No, what I would actually suggest is getting a condenser mic that can do figure of 8. And you're going to be spending a lot more, but you're going to get better quality. And what you can do is you can pair a mic that does polar patterns and the figure of 8 to do mid-side, and that's really nice. I have a video on how to do mid-side recording, so make sure you check that one as well. That guy. So it is that guy. All right, cool. So Modrian was talking about this microphone, and I hit something that doesn't matter. He's talking about this. This is the Sony C800, and the part on the back is the heatsink for the tube. So that's what it is. Let's go back to you guys. Stream is really having issues tonight. That's so weird. Yeah, I mean, I have a few dropped frames, so I wonder if... No, I have my Wi-Fi off. I'm hardwired. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Check your upstream rate. Video keeps buffering for me and slow frame rate. I don't think I can change it while I'm actually streaming. No, I definitely can't. Yeah, definitely can't, so... Sorry, everyone. Certainly interesting. See, Smudge, good old mastering in the box. What about the Lewitts? Yes, I've heard great things about Lewitts. Meant to be great bang for buck. Yeah. I'm hoping that I can get in contact with them one day, because I'd love to hear some of their stuff. Well, that heatsink reminds me of the model airplane engine that when flying planes as a kid. That's funny. Brad R is not getting any buffering. That's good to hear. The Lewitts are good for the money. Well made, sound good. Yes, that's what I keep hearing. I use the Rode NT1 for vocals on all of my recordings. Very nice. It's the only thing I have, and it seems to work well for my voice. Yes. It's just the NT1. Okay, cool. Because the NT1 and the NT1A are different microphones. And they also have the NT2000. They have the NTK, I think. There's a bunch that Rode makes. Rode makes good stuff, too. That's what you're listening to me on right now. This guy. The Rode, this is the NTG 4 Plus. Slate modeling mic looks cool, but it's pricier. Yes, but it does go on sale for about $500 every once in a while. So, you know, just keep an eye out for that. Music to Motion, dropping the email in the chat. Stream has improved for him now, too. So thank you for that. So, yeah, if you guys want to reach out to me, you can always send me an email. Or, like I said, link for the Discord should be in the description of this video. That's a reactor, not a mic. Yeah, I think the Slate mic is like $1,000. It can be, but it goes on sale. Actually, the Slate mic with the linear pre that they sell with it, I think is $1,000. Stream's good for Brian. Everything's good for Michael. Cool. The Lewitt LTC 240 Pro is what Kyle has, and I think he likes it. I'd love to look at the Slate virtual mic, but really all of the examples I've seen is pretty subtle. I guess I'm lucky with the NT1 for my use. Yeah, you probably are. The NTK, the NT2000, Windows NT, etc. All right, let's get into polar patterns, and we're gonna do let's do some stuff. First, I'm gonna move this because I really want to show you how polar patterns work. Okay, fair warning. I'm gonna plug in the AKG again. So you might get a pop. Might. And if you do, I'm sorry. Once the cable's untangled. Ha. Okay, volume's all the way down. Okay, ready? Watch your ears. Okay, this guy's plugged in. He's plugged in. And now this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to duplicate this track. You don't need to see this part. It doesn't matter. I need to change my I/O because I didn't do that before. Inputs. Let's just add a mono input for input 3. Okay, you might lose me for a second. You might, Rabbit. You might. Hey. Okay, I'm back. All right. So I'm going to keep an eye on levels because this one's not really set. Everybody let me know. Again, yeah, I laughed right into this mic. So you'll notice I should be sounding substantially different and maybe lower. I'm trying to look. I think everything's pretty good. Thank you for the reference to the Discord. Music to Motion. Music to Motion. Grab the link and pop it into the chat as well if you can. Let's see. I'm gonna catch up with you guys real quick. And then Music to Motion I changed from the SM58, which is this guy. Remember, 58's got the hat on. To the newer SEV7 is very similar, but it does sound a little better to me than the 58. And again, it all depends on the source. Tiny pop. Okay, some of you guys got the pop, some of you guys got a, but whatever. You can always turn off. Yeah, but if I turn off the phantom power, like I said, it turns this guy off too, because this is a condenser mic. So now you guys should only be hearing me on the AKG. And if you hear some hand rumbles of me tossing it around, that's because I'm tossing it around a little. Brighter, cleaner, slightly noisier. Maybe. Certainly maybe. It's probably also because it's not on a stand. But there, you can hear immediately, these are two different kinds of condenser microphones. It does sound different, right? Yeah. Ah, perfect. Thank you, Music in Motion. There's the link to the Discord in the chat now. Same signal level, maybe a little hotter and more high-end clarity and less low. Okay, so first, let's do the first thing that Blades is reminding me of. And that's this thing when you're using microphones called proximity effect. Okay. You know what? I'm going to let you guys, if you know what proximity effect is, put it in the chat. Let's go over polar patterns, and then we'll come back to proximity effect. Okay, so right now, this AKG 414 is, hey, look at that. The AKG 414 is set to cardioid, and I'm going to show you. That symbol in the middle, it does look like a little upside down heart, shows you how this microphone listens. And I'm going to do a live demonstration for you on how it listens. And it listens to whatever it's pointed at. And so when you get away from the microphone being pointed at your source, you start rejecting the sound. So as I'm talking to you guys, I have the microphone pointed at me right now. But when I start to rotate it and continue to talk to you, I get quieter and quieter up until the point where I'm actually now talking at the back of the microphone, and all you're hearing is the reflections of my voice off of the walls in my room and then into the front. So the level got way lower, but you still heard me, and I probably sounded further away because you only heard my voice bouncing off the walls and then into the mic. Did that come across to you guys? I'm pretty sure it did. Modridan says he knows what proximity effect is. Robert Atkins, how close something is. Yes, yeah. Proximity, closer, more lows. So yeah, it's a weird thing with physics, which is actually pretty cool. And yes, get the bow tie, get the lab coats out. Close to the diaphragm picks up more low frequency. Actually, the low frequency has more power at the diaphragm with your proximity effect. But we can actually demonstrate some stuff with proximity effect with this microphone as well, because we can switch this to Omni, and Omnidirectional actually doesn't get subjected to proximity effect. Music to Motion with the super chat for $5. Thanks, bud. Let's see. Everybody understands the proximity effect. Yep, all that. I call it mic control. Yes. Let's see. Enhance low ends, closer you are to the mic. Okay. Looks like you're going to have to watch this over and over. This is great content. Thank you, Robert. Sounds like a webcam. When I had it turned away, did it sound like a webcam? It probably did. Okay. Now we're going to go to, we're actually going to go to what is called hypercardioid. I'm going to show you it first. In between the, this is actually supercardioid. So we actually were on hypercardioid because it has more rejection from the back. Cardioid, and you'll hear a little difference. This is cardioid. So this is me talking into the front of a microphone that is set in cardioid pattern. This is me talking into the back of that same microphone set to cardioid pattern. Probably sounds roomy, like you're saying, like kind of webcam-ish, because you're picking up way more room tones. But when you talk directly into the microphone, it's direct. You can hear it. We're going to change this back over to hypercardioid. Supercardioid. I forget which one's first. Supercardioid's first. So super, more rejection from the back. Me talking into the front, me talking into the back. Again, it pushes more of my direct sound away, and you're just hearing reflections, actually off the computer mostly. You're probably hearing the fans going a little too. Now, let's go like this. I'm going to go to hypercardioid. Again, it's pointed at me, and you can hear it. And as I continue to talk to you as I rotate it, it probably sounds a little bit roomier, a little bit more like a webcam, right? Then we continue putting it around, and then when we get to the back, you actually can still pick up a little bit of sound directly behind the microphone. Not nearly as much as when I'm talking into the front, but you do pick up a little bit of what's behind it. Spinning it back around so you guys can actually hear me. So why doesn't a mic pick that up? What a great question. And it has to do with the air around the microphone and all of the little slots you see on all of the different microphones, including, oh goodness, including this guy. And sorry for picking up the mics. It's going to be a little noisier today. You see all these little slots in here? They allow air to get into the back side of a microphone. And that is what causes rejection, because it creates pressure on the back side of the diaphragms so that they can't push all the way forward and all the way back. It creates this negative pressure inside the microphone here, and that is what causes the rejection. Put this mic back up here. Okay, now let's get into some of the fun patterns. We're going to go with figure 8 first. So it's just a couple button clicks over here, and you probably have already heard it. You're probably hearing a little bit of fan noise and maybe even a little bit more room noise. I'm talking straight into the front side, but if I flip to the back, it should sound very similar, if not the same, because this is listening to both the front and back diaphragms equally. So now you can do a lot of different things with this. You can have two people talking into one microphone if you're doing some kind of interview thing. You can do a very cool mid-side stereo recording because you put, your microphone with your source. Let's say your source is over here. You want to put the rejection sides, and we'll get to that in a second, the rejection sides facing your source, and then another microphone, like a dynamic or a different condenser, facing your source. And then this is your mid, and these are your sides. It's very cool. Jeff, the man with the bass. He's just here to slap and pluck. Okay, so now let's talk about rejection when we're working with a figure 8. I'm talking into the back of the microphone, and you can probably hear me pretty well, just like you heard me from the front of the microphone. But now as I turn the microphone 90 degrees, we get back to that rejection point, or almost like it sounds like you're listening to somebody's webcam or just the microphone built into their computer. It's way more room soundy. It's a little lower now in volume because we're rejecting things. And then as I turn back towards the diaphragm, things open up, you get that direct sound, and it's nice and clear again. So a figure of 8 shows you it's listening to the front and back of the microphone, and it's not listening to things from the sides. It's rejecting all of that. Let's catch up with you guys real quick as I switch to Cardioid. And you probably hear all the little clicks as I'm doing that, and I'm sorry. But that's what we're going to have to do for this. Like with the acoustic guitar, yes, you could. That's exactly what I did in the video that I showed mid-side recordings. I did an acoustic guitar. And so I took this microphone, it was actually this one, I put it in figure 8, put the rejection sides to it, and then I had another microphone facing the guitar, and I showed how to decode that in MS and get this really nice wide stereo acoustic. Modridan, have you seen the new isotopes? Have you seen the new isotopes for phone recordings? What a joke, phone rappers new style incoming. I mean, that's not new, they've been doing that for a little while. Okay. Side rejection is almost 100%. Yeah, it's amazing how much rejection you can get when you're just at the sides of a figure 8. So right now we're still talking in cardioid, so it's going to reject noises from the back, so you probably don't hear the computer fans going anymore. And it took me a second, but I finally undid my water with one hand. You don't need to hear all that. That's why I pointed the microphone away. Because it's cardioid, and I can reject it a little just by turning it away. Okay, ready? We're going to get into a fun one now. Couple clicks, and here we go to omnidirectional. Here we go. Just making sure. Sorry for the extra clicks. This is omnidirectional. Omnidirectional is exactly what you think. And I'm actually even going to show you, because when I turn it around, you can still hear me. Yes, it's further away, but we're talking the one all the way on the end, the circle. And that is telling us that this microphone is now listening equally on all sides, including the top and the bottom. These are things that some guys won't show you as well. Not that they won't, they just forget to show you. But this is omnidirectional, so whichever way I am pointing this microphone, it is going to hear me equally, and it's going to put that out to you in the world. So this is really cool. You can get some really awesome sounds, but you probably heard it when I switched from Cardioid to this. Cardioid is a nice direct sound. You heard exactly what I was saying. And then I switched it over to Omni, and not only are you getting my direct sound, but you're getting a bunch of room sound in here as well. And you're probably getting computer fan noise and other stuff that I'm clinking around and whatever else I'm going to bump into. And you're going to hear it because omnidirectional listens in every direction. Thank you so much, Music and Motion. All right, so now let's go into probably overhead for drums. You could probably better as room for drums. Omnidirectional is probably better for room for drums. Only because if you put it for overheads, you have to think the sound is going to go, up from the drums into your microphone, and then it's going to go past your microphone and bounce back down, and it's going to hear it again as that reflection. So when it's overheads, it's a little too close for something like that. But if you put this way out in the room, and let's say you only have one, you put it way out there, then it's going to sound really cool. That's my suggestion. I know what you meant, different polar patterns. Any idea what polar pattern you have in your head? Oh, you're talking binaural microphones. Binaural microphones are very specialized. I'm going to switch this back to Cardioid because you don't need to hear all the other stuff that's going on. Okay, 2 clicks and we're back to Cardioid. And then we'll actually do proximity effect as well. So Modredin is talking about polar patterns in the binaural microphones. And those ones look like little heads, and they listen the same way that our ears hear. So they can get full stereo sound, full, 3-dimensional sounds. But the way they work isn't, it's sort of cardioid, but the way that it's shaped, it's also kind of omnidirectional, but it's those 2 capsules that are in the head, just like how you have 2 ears on your head. And the way that it works is those 2 capsules, or diaphragms, or whatever you want to call them, they'll hear the timing difference of a source hitting the 2 ears. So if you have, hey, look, I have a speaker right here, and it plays when I'm facing you guys. When it plays, the sound is going to hit this ear first, and then some of the sound is going to slowly wrap around my head and go past and into this ear. And that timing difference is going to tell my brain the sound is coming from over here, because I can tell that there's a difference in timing because it's hitting this side first. So clearly this is closer. And then I'm hearing it wrap around and it's getting here, and then it's going to bounce back and then hit here first. So my brain can go, okay, sound comes from here. And it helps me kind of pinpoint where sound is coming. So you can also that's what the binaural microphones are doing, or the head microphones. Musicians in a circle kind of thing. You could do that as well. You can do omnidirectional. And then you just have to play with distance to your microphone, because that's how they used to do it when they only had like 1 track to record to, or 2 tracks. You get in a room, you put a microphone somewhere and you listen, like, who's loud? Should you be loud? Or should you be louder? Are you too loud? Move back, move further away. Should you be louder? Move closer. Omni is good for recording rooms. Yep. Omnidirectional. How many diaphragms are in that? 2. Both diaphragms facing front and back are full power, and you're getting everything. Gang vocals you could do as well. Yep. How does it know where the sound is coming from? This is very interesting. Oh, timing. Okay, yes. 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 Okay, so now let's talk about like another phenomenon. Let's talk about another thing that microphones will do. So this microphone is set to cardioid right now, and I've been purposely holding it 10 inches away from my face, and that's, it's going to give my voice time to travel through the air and kind of dissipate a little bit and do some stuff. Now I'm going to be very gentle when I do this, and I'm actually going to look around for something, and because it's plugged in, I can actually take you guys with me, and you're not going to see this, but you'll hear it. I'm going over here, because what I'm going to do, there we go, is I'm going to grab a pop filter and just kind of hold them together, because I am going to get closer to this microphone. And it shouldn't really be changing the sound. Yeah, one-handed. It shouldn't really be changing the way I sound right now. So we're in cardioid, about 10 inches away, with a pop filter in. And you can hear how I sound. Sounds like me, kind of nasally. I understand this. This is my voice. I get it. But now, without me changing my voice, without me putting a silly voice on like I do, I'm going to get closer to the microphone. And what you're going to hear is this sense of my voice having more body and more depth to it. Because this is the proximity effect. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the mic closer to my face, and now I'm probably about an inch away. And it looks like I'm getting a couple red lights, so I'm sorry for that. I'm going to make sure that my speaking volume is pretty consistent and doesn't actually pop out. But let me know, do you hear it? Does my voice sound deeper? Does it sound fuller at the bottom? This is proximity effect. Proximity effect is the closer you are to a cardioid or directional microphone. And not all of them, but most of them. The closer you are to it, the more perceived low end you're going to get from that microphone. And then it will record that perceived low end. And you can use this to your advantage. If you have a very thin sounding singer, you can put them closer and you'll fill out that voice a little bit more. Or if you have somebody who's very full, you can actually just back the microphone off and let their voice kind of dissipate through the air a little bit. Was it clipping? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's because I was getting closer. Don't spit on the expensive mic. That's what the pop filter's for. And this is the metal one. By all means, or not by all means, I highly suggest, especially in these day and ages, get the metal ones, because you can wash these. You can wash these easily. You can spray them down and disinfect them. That's great. This is a Sterling PF1 pop filter. Sterling audio. They're metal. I can wipe it down. It's great. So John Lake heard it. Full-bodied, warmer, more presence for sure. Yes, that is the proximity effect. So again, I'm about a foot away again, give or take, whatever. So this is probably, even if I was going to go like this is probably closer to how, if we were standing in a room, you would hear my voice, is the way that it is. There are some lows, there's some highs, there's a little bit of mid-range in there, and I know my voice. That's just what it is, especially today. This is probably closer to what it would sound like if we were in a room together speaking. And I'm going to watch my volume here. I'm actually just going to talk lower, but I'm going to try and use the same voice. Now you're getting a lot fuller sound and a lot deeper sounds. All the tops are still there, the mids are still there, but it's a much fuller sound in the lows. This is proximity effect. Now, what I'm going to do with 2 clicks is I've switched back to omnidirectional, and you probably hear it already too. And again, I'm about a foot away. Is there a do-it-all condenser mic that sounds good on everything? Yes, all of them. But is that the right one for that thing at that time? You as the engineer need to make that choice. But, I mean, like I said, it's a $100 microphone. It's a $100 microphone. It sounds great. This is a $100 microphone. It sounds good. Does it sound good on everything? No. But it sounds good on a bunch of things. And it sounds good on the thing that it gets put in front of, because it works for that. So you really have to use your ears. Okay, back to proximity effect. We're in omnidirectional. You probably hear the fan noise and a little bit more room tone. Yeah, but it's probably about $4,000. I mean, I know plenty of guys who use U87s because they have to, but they actually don't like them. And a U87 is okay. Don't get me wrong, I like U87s. I think they're pretty good. If somebody wants to get one for me, I'm not going to turn it down. If Warm Audio, if I use one of their 87s, cool. I've heard great things about them. Have you worked with 5.1 or 7.1 sound? Yes, I've mixed for 5.1. Excuse me. It was a long time ago, but it wasn't in Studio One. It was in Pro Tools at the time, so it was a long time ago. We're in omnidirectional. And again, I'm about a foot away with the microphone. But I'm going to get closer and closer and closer. And I'm just going to watch my volume to make sure that I don't actually like clip out to you guys. But now I'm very close to the microphone. And you're probably not getting that same boom you were getting when I was close when it was a cardioid. Because omnidirectional has enough sounds coming from the back to cancel that pressure, and that causes the proximity effect. So omnidirectional microphones are not subjective to proximity effect. Click, click. Back to cardioid. And I'm sorry I'm coughing so much. It's just very dry in my house. So is there a perfect microphone that's good on everything? Subjective. This is pretty good on most things. These ones are pretty good for most singers. There, I just spent $200 and I got a microphone pretty much anything. I can use this microphone and microphone up pretty much anything. Thomas Milkerson, good afternoon. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Yeah, have some water. It's good for you. That's what they say. Ziggy's here. Better late than never. Hey, Ziggy. Thanks for coming and hanging out. So yeah, we were talking. We've been talking microphones and designs. There's dynamics. There's condensers. There's tube microphones we didn't even get into, and I don't think we're going to today. But the way tube microphones work is it has an external power supply, and I could just show it to you real quick. Let me move some stuff. This one I actually made a custom case for because I bought it used. So I took an old wine bottle box. It's wood. And I just lined it with foam. Okay, hang on. I'm going to put you down for a second. Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay, so with tube microphones, they're typically going to be condenser microphones as well. And so here it is. It doesn't have any labeling on it, but I know what it is. I bought this one used as well. This is an Apex 460. And inside here, this is a cardioid condenser microphone. It's much heavier than the one I'm holding because of all the guts that are inside. And I'm going to show you because I think it's cool. So hang on, I'm going to take this thing apart. Okay, so here are the guts. Oh, sorry for popping you guys again. Here's the guts to a 460 microphone. On the top is your... Whoop, whoop, whoop. Careful, careful, careful. On the top is the diaphragm. This is where you point your stuff at. And it's not like this. Even though it looks like it, it's like this. Then there's some circuitry. Then underneath that, there's a tube. And then underneath the tube, actually in this little metal housing down here, is the transformer. There's a transformer in here as well. And so with these kinds of microphones, you actually need more than phantom power. It has its own external power supply, which is this block right here. Hang on. Here's the external power supply for the mic, and it just takes standard IEC power in, and then it'll output the audio on standard XLR, but it uses a 7-pin cable to send power and audio from the microphone and set power to the microphone over those 7 pins. And actually, this microphone, now that I'm looking at it because I totally forgot, has selectable polar patterns as well from the power supply, because you can add that restriction to the capsules inside so that you can activate them or deactivate them. So I would just be able to rotate this knob, and it's a stepped knob, so I can go between a figure of 8 to cardioid, so I can get something like a hypercardioid or supercardioid, or I can go between cardioid and omnidirectional just with the stepped resistor that's in the power supply. Let me try and put this back together real quick. Talks amongst yourselves. It's not exactly the best case, but I made it myself, or repurposed a thing, so. Oh, sorry. Okay. There we go. And that's the guts of a tube microphone, or at least this tube microphone. There are all the other ones that are tube microphones are similar. Like we were looking at the pictures of the AKG before, and that was different. 7-pin DIN, yes. Robots in disguise. Hang on, I'm catching up with you guys real quick. That's still doing its thing. Okay. Any digital mic you use? No, not that I currently have. And even still, digital mics are like USB mics or modeler mics, and I don't have any of those. Unless you know anybody, I'd love to use them. Actually, I lied. I've used them before. I've used the Slate modeler. It was pretty good for the thing that I was doing it for. It was lots of fun. Yeah, I pretty much brought out most things from my mic locker. There's a couple other ones that aren't here, but... And actually, I got the Presonus DM7 kit just sitting over there. It's a bunch of dynamics in there. And 2 pencil condensers. So very similar to this, except they're only cardioid, and they're very small diaphragm. Instead of it being 1 inch in diameter, it's closer to like 3/4 of inch. Or I guess that would be 550. I can't remember. Never mind. I'm not gonna try and I'm not gonna try and convert to metric. I'm sorry. Boop, 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 boop. Similar looking to your NTK Modern, yeah. Again, most tube microphones, especially like the lower end tube microphones, because I'll be honest, this thing was used, and even when it was new, it was not that expensive. But you know, your NTK is a tube microphone, but a lot of them are built very similarly. Sorry for misspelling. I'm on phone. Don't even worry about it. What is your opinion on Avatone Pro CD-MK8 drum microphone kit? I haven't used it, so I can't really tell you. Avatone. I wanna try out their stuff. I just haven't had an opportunity to. So I'm sorry, but I can't really say. We've all learned how to read autocorrect language these days, yes. The tube itself imparts a warmth to the sound, yes, because it reacts to the signals going into it from the capsule. So you push a little bit harder, it crunches that tube and drives the signal into that tube a little bit more and adds more of that tube saturation that you're looking for. Don't ever shake a mic before you unscrew it. Something might come out. You never know. I'm sure the flux capacitor needs more power. It's not 1.1 gigawatts. It's 1.21 gigawatts. Thank you very much. 1.21 gigawatts. Motor shoots out like a soda can. Yes, I prefer the tube sound all day over anything else. Yeah, The tube microphones have a sound. They absolutely do. And then pair that up. You can pair that up with a solid state preamp, or you can pair it up with a tube preamp, which is going to have a different sound, because inside this is probably, I think it's a 12A T7, and you could throw that into a tube preamp with a 12AX7. Those are different tubes. They'll give you different sounds, and you'll be able to get that same kind of and different kind of tube warmth to your recording. I used to have an AT4050 multi-pattern tube pre-mic, $1,200, and ended up rarely using it because it was just way too sensitive and picked up sounds that I couldn't ever compensate for. Yes, so that is one of the things, a diaphragm mic, which we can, I think we can do some things. Let's do this. Ready? I'm going to come over here. Just going to duplicate. Okay, I'm talking to you on the AKG. Okay, AKG is going away. Ready? We're switching from an AKG to good old Shure 58. And that should be coming up right here. And if I can look over here to make sure I'm not clipping you guys out. Okay, now, how does my voice sound? It probably sounds really different. And I had to push the gain up higher. So a dynamic microphone, that's the word I was looking for. Generally speaking, you'll need to add more gain to, because you need it's not as sensitive as a condenser microphone. So typically you'll have to push things a little bit harder. You'll have to drive the gain a little bit higher. But with that, you can actually put dynamic microphones on higher output sources like drums or a really loud guitar cab or like screaming vocalists. That's why this is such a popular microphone for like heavy metal guys, like heavy metal rock guys. When they talk into this microphone, the SM7B, they can really push into it, and then the engineer, they don't have to put the gain so high because the guy's already pushing super duper hard into it. Where with a condenser microphone, you can have less gain on it because it is way more sensitive, but it's more articulate. You'll get more top end, generally speaking, depending on the microphone. You'll get a lot different kinds of sounds. I mean, you just heard me a second ago. I was talking to you on the AKG. Now I switched to the 58. Totally different kind of sounds. Let me catch up with you guys real quick. Sorry for the clicks. What difference would the preamp make on the microphone? I know it might be off topic, but it seems like it goes hand in hand. It does, because different preamps have different sounds. The way that they're built and the circuitry within them changes the way it sounds. So you can use a solid state preamp, something like in your typical USB interfaces. Those are all solid state preamps, or even something like the API 3124s, or pretty much a bunch of the APIs. Those are solid state based, or you have transformer based, something like a Neve 1073 or a 1084, solid or tube preamps, like the Avalons, I think, are tube preamps, or I'm sure there's plenty of other ones that I can't think of right now. They're all built differently, so the order in which you're picking up your source, that's how much or how important it is to the sound. So the source needs to be really good. The microphone needs to be really good for that source. The preamp needs to be really good for the microphone for that source. And as you change these things, it does impart different sounds. But yes, everything really is hand in hand. It's warmer, extra details, and feels very, very small compression effect. There is ever so slightly a bit of the diaphragm compression. compression with a dynamic microphone that you won't get with a condenser mic. A tube pre will give you a warmer sound, yes. Or a transformer, if you drive the transformer, that will also give you a different kind of saturation. Tubes add even harmonics to the sounds they are amplifying, yes, which is pleasing to hear for our ears, yes. Slight effect. There is a slight effect that seems to be like compression, but it also adds body to sounds, and tubes have a way of helping with large transients. Absolutely. Would different tube pre give different tone? Yes, because they're designed differently, and different tubes inside the different tube pre would also do different harmonics. It's like how it's saturating the sound. Sometimes that's not super apparent, but they do have a different effect. I think it's to do with the transformer as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's everything, you know. That's why there's different. That's why there's not just one console out there. That's not why there's just one mic pre. That's not why there's just one microphone. They all work differently, and they all have different pros and cons. Yes, even harmonics. Odd question. Since my recording area is not soundproof, excuse me, I have been told not to use a condenser. I'm better off using stage dynamic mic, Sennheiser, or the Presonus MB70. So yes, the reason, most of the time, the reason that somebody is telling you, if you're in a non-treated room, to use something like a dynamic microphone, whether it be the 58, the 57, the SM7B, or anything like that, is you will get more rejection of the room because of the polar pattern. We talked about it before, Ziggy. I don't know if you were here. The polar pattern is how the microphone is listening to the sounds. The SM7, the SM58 that I have right now, it's pointed at my mouth. You can hear me pretty well. But if I start to talk to the wrong side of the microphone, you're actually hearing the reflection of my voice off the computer, and you're probably hearing a little bit of the fan too. And you're not hearing my direct sound. So you're able to reject more of that bouncing sound with dynamic microphones, where if we switch back to the condenser microphone, that's the one I have now, it's more articulate, it's more sensitive, you'll hear a little bit more of the room in this, even though it is still also set to cardioid. When I spin it around and keep talking to you, you're definitely hearing just the reflections in this microphone because the volume has gone down and I probably sound further away. But then if I spin it right back around again, I'm right back at you, talking to you directly, and you can hear, you know, the little bit of lip smackies that I'm getting right now. Sorry for that. Because my mouth is really dry, and that's why people are saying. But if you learn to use the polar patterns to your advantage, you can kind of negate that. Not negate it, but you can play with the polar patterns to your advantage. I'm going to switch back. And now I'm back over here. Something is phasing. Do you have more than one mic on? I have them on, but they're not sending to you guys. They shouldn't be anyway. I keep turning them off over here. If it still sounds phasey, let me know. Maybe it's something in universal control, which I don't think it is, because everything going to you guys in the mix is only coming off of the DAW. So it's weird that it sounds phasey. That's odd. Yeah, that shouldn't be sending to you at all. Let me know. Yes, every component makes a difference. Some people change out tubes to a different sound. Yes, but also I think this is something that actually Presonus does with their state space modeling, is they don't just model an amp or an effect. They have been modeling the components, because the components play so much of a part. If you change something, and Kyle will tell you this too, the Cornef Audio Pawn Shop compressor, or most of the things from Cornef Audio, you can go in and change resistors, you can change tubes, you can change transformers, you can change a lot of things, and you can hear a lot of those sonic differences. Was it when I switched over to the condenser, or is it from this guy? Because really, I mean, I can unplug the other things. You shouldn't really be hearing anything. I'll just turn these other guys down, because I'm only going to talk to you on this microphone now, just to make sure. Is that where a cloud lifter type thing comes in? So a cloud lifter is just clean gain. It's just a little box, and it just adds 20 or 30 or 25 dB of clean gain, and you won't get any like noise floor or anything. So that helps typically, especially if you're only doing speaking. There's a reason that I'm not speaking to you on this microphone right now, is I don't have one of those, but I would have to have the preamp on this thing juiced all the way up. This is a very large diaphragm dynamic mic, so it needs even more. Yeah, tube modeling, I think, is what Modridan was going for. Sounds like a topic for another day because it's so in-depth. Absolutely. Is there another mic on? There might be. I think I've changed it by now. Is this show on every Friday? Yes, John. I'm live every Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week we did microphones. Next week, you tell me. I'm open to suggestions. Every individual tube sounds slightly different as well. Yes, that's why you have tube biasing, so you can dial in the sounds for the tubes. Make sure you get the right amount of power going into them. Need to wet your whistle with a nice adult beverage? An adult drinking a beverage. It was water. Let's see. Robert has the Art Tube preamp because it's cheap. Sometimes it sounds okay. It was $70. I have two of the Presonus tube pre's, the single channel ones, version 1. I have the original versions, and I have two of them. And I've considered actually replacing the tubes, and maybe that's a thing we could do. Is I get a different tube, and then we compare the sounds of one versus the other. It's stock tube versus a replacement tube. That could be fun. That might be a produced video, though. That might be easier to produce instead of doing live. Mark Mendoza, what's going on? I have two of the Art Tube Pre's. They're great for the price. Yeah. 12AX7s in them. Yeah. Yep. Can't beat it. Yeah. I think the Presonus actually has 12... Does it have 12AX7s, or does it have 12AU7s, or does it have 12AT7s? I can't remember. And I don't need to remember. You have the Art Tube channel strip. Yep. Art makes some pretty cool stuff. I don't have any of their stuff, but I've used it before. It makes pretty decent stuff. 12AX7 is one of the most popular tubes in the one of the most popular tubes in the pre-section of tube amps. Yes, but don't forget that there's 12AU7s, there's 12AT7s, and they have different sounds. So experiment around. It's important to. And actually, you can get the micro tubes too. They have different sounds. Made a difference when you turn the others down, but slight. Maybe it's psychosomatic. It certainly could be music emotion. Was it better if I switched to the other microphone? You let me know. Just listening tonight. Great explanation of mic types. Thanks, Smash Studios. For the dynamic studio on vocals, would you use... for the dynamic studio on vocals, would you choose the MB70 or better mics used on live stage like Sennheiser, Audio-Technica, etc., etc.? I would judge what I have, and honestly, if you're doing something like vocals in your studio, have them do 3 practice runs and give them each and see which ones they sound best on. Just be like, here, sing the chorus. All right, click, 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 click. Sing the chorus again. All right, click, 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 click. Sing the chorus again and listen to it and play them back for the singer and be like, which one do you like best? And see which one. Judge the sound, not the mic or the price tag, because there's a reason Tom Petty sang into these. It sounded great on his voice. Elvis Costello too. Tons of other people. There's albums made that have only been recorded on 57s. Everything was recorded on 57s. Jeff, this has been great. I'm going to get mics soon, so I'm having suggestions now. Is very timely. You're very welcome there, Jeff. If you have more questions, either join the Discord, which Music to Motion is going to put the link in the description, or excuse me, in the chat. You can join the Discord and come hang out with us, and we can all talk nerdy over there too. Maybe I'll make a nerd channel. Why not? We also have a Talkbox microphone. Those things are cool. For recording bass or other things. Yes, the 12AX7, I believe, are in Marshall amps. 12AX7s are in most. But where you'll see more discrepancies with tube amps is actually the output stage, where you'll see like 6L6s or EL84s or EL34s. Or, so many different sounds, tube amps for the output stages, where you'll actually see more changes in the tubes. Ready for everything. I'd put a condenser on. I have a 58 and some 57s already. So he's just looking for, it looks like Jeff is just looking for a good condenser mic. Start with something inexpensive like the MXL 990. Avoid that one. I've had success with vocals on that mic. Avoid it. That's my suggestion. The 990 is decent. It's okay. I do have 2 of them somewhere. But I'm actually going to rip all the guts out and replace all the bits inside. I would probably go with something more like, a lot of people enjoy the Rode NT1As. A lot of people enjoy Lewitt microphones. I would definitely look into the Lewitt microphones. I hear great things about those. Or if you have a little bit more, you can start getting to like the warm audio, stuff like that. Plenty of things out there. Ziggy, you're welcome. AKG mic sounds the best. Thanks, John. But different. What does Warren Hewart say? Different horses for different courses. AT20 is decent too. Yeah, that's a good. I think it's what is that sub $150 bucks? I think it's less than $150 for the AT2020. Get the XLR version though. Don't get the USB one. Change to the AKG. I'm on the AKG now. I think I'm pretty close to where it was before. Maybe this is more articulate for you guys. And so that's why it's a little better. Modrin, you forgot something important. With a tube mic, you turn it on and leave it for 1 hour to warm up. Then use it. Get the best possible sound. So yeah, you should let your tube gear warm up. I don't know if I would say an hour. But you definitely need to turn it on and warm it up before you really get into doing some stuff. An hour is kind of a myth, in my opinion. Just as long as it gets warm and it's on, it'll do things. And the more you use it, then it'll get the temperature faster. So if you actually get in faster, it'll start cooking a little faster. Good discount from the music store I teach at. So I was really thinking of the NT1. That's right, Jeff, you work at a music store. Sorry for clipping the mic a little bit there. I'll put it a little further. Jeff. No, do your thing, man. 6550s. Kyle, go okay. Music in Motion dropped the Discord link. Thank you so much. Matthew Compton. Hi, Tim. I've been using the Art Tube preamps for quite a while and are pretty good with getting pretty good results. That's awesome to hear, Matthew. I have a Chibi Octava from Guitar Center. Sounds reasonable. Yeah. Well, those Octava mics actually, they're really good. So are you talking the little condenser, the little pencil condenser guys, or some of the bigger ones? I think I got the AT2020 for $100. Yeah, again, they're cheapo microphones, but they're decent microphones. I know a bunch of like YouTube channels that I watch. Their mics are all 2020s. Sounds better. And Jeff likes that. Wink. 1 hour. 1 hour to just to express the idea. Yeah. Exactly. But no, for your tube gear, that's the first thing you should do. If you know you're going to be using your tube gear for any recording session, fire that stuff up first. Let it start heating up while you're kicking everything else on, turning the lights on, making the pot of coffee, things like that. If you guys have any questions about microphones or polar patterns or stuff like that, drop them in the chat now, because I think we're getting ready to wrap things up, because I'm getting a little tired. It was a really long week. It's already 11:30. We've been going for a while. You guys have been really active in the chat, which is awesome. And I appreciate everything that you guys do. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button notification thing. Join the Discord. That'd be fun. Come hang out, share your stuff. We can talk nerd over there. We can do mixed feedback. You want to show off some of your original works? We just made an original compositions channel the other day. So come hang out with us. The 2020 on Sweetwater has a bundle for like $150 for a cable and a stand too. Woo! No, I mean, sometimes you really do need an extra stand and an extra cable. So why not spend a couple more bucks and get the things you need? Yeah, I see it on YouTube as well with the arm. They're mostly the 2020s. Yeah, they probably are using this arm. This is the Rode PSA 1, I think is what they call it. And it's this arm, not the microphone, just the arm. And I like it a lot. This is a great arm. Thanks to my friends over at Rode. They hooked me up with this and the microphone, and I gotta reach out to them again, because they make the NTR, which is a killer ribbon microphone. And I've been dying to get my hands on one of those. So I used a pair of them at a buddy's studio to record drum rooms, and they were killer sounding. And then the same session, I put it on an acoustic guitar. It was awesome. The C414 XL2 is what you have. Yep, that's the one I'm holding in my hand. Have you watched WWE? Been a very long time. I will admit, when I was younger, I did watch it. That classic mic you hold in the hand and scream, or what is that? So that's just a wireless version. I don't know the exact model that they have. Sorry for the scrapes. That's just a wireless version of one of these. That's why they can hit each other with these microphones. It's why they can throw them down when Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out from breaking the glass, or The Rock, or whatever. They're using dynamic microphones, wireless ones. Actually, come with me and you'll see I've got wireless inside this closet. Ooh, I'm gonna scrape stuff around. Hang on, it's in this bag. Bye. La-di-dee. Is that bag? Wrong bag. Ah! I swear, I'm fine. I swear I'm fine. I hope it's in here. It doesn't even feel like it's in here. I'm gonna be so embarrassed. It's not in here. It's not in here. I have a wireless mic somewhere. I thought it was in here. Unless it's on that other bag that fell on me. Guess it's in that other bag that fell on me. Did I take it out? Did I use it for something? I have a wireless mic. Yeah, no, I don't know where it is right now. I thought it was in here. Apparently, I was wrong. I'll have to look around for that. But it's just a wireless dynamic mic. That's why they can bop each other in the head with them or throw them down or anything like that. And it needs to be wireless because they come walking out from the stage or they're running around all over the place with it. So it's just a wireless version of that with a really strong antenna to pick up the signal. Or actually for them, they have microphones under the stage as well. This way you can really hear the slams, because if they didn't have mics under the stage, those slams wouldn't actually they wouldn't hear them as well. If you were there, you would, but not for TV. So there's microphones under the stage. Robert, could you go into SPL and which one is best for certain applications? If it's loud SPL or sound pressure level, so things like drums or loud guitar amps, you're better off with a dynamic microphone or being careful with your condensers, because there are use cases for using a condenser mic on drums, especially like using a FET 47 as a kick out mic. Those sound killer. So you can use condenser mics on things like drums. You just have to be a little bit more careful with them. And maybe go into EQ that microphones have. Now you're talking frequency responses, and every microphone is going to be different. There's going to be baseline frequency responses for microphones, but every microphone, the way it's built and its diaphragm and its guts and all that other stuff, that's why they give you a chart of your frequency response. And actually, I have another microphone here, which is an omnidirectional microphone, and it's called an Rta mic, or a real-time analyzer. And it has a little piece of paper that comes with it that tells me the exact frequency response of my analyzer mic. And this one sounds different from another one that was made at the same factory at the same day. The next serial number in line that sounds different than this one will. And that's called your frequency response. Plus, we can post our mixes and get good feedback. Yes, we're all, and it's like constructive feedback. It's not like, hey, great job. It's like, you probably could have done something better here. Try that. And it's never like harsh or anything. The Discord is a super awesome place, so let's keep it super awesome and get more people in it. So join the Discord. Come on, do it. The link's in the description or in the chat. Because they have weird classic shapes. So there's that box that you see on them that goes here, that's called a flag. And it doesn't do anything. It's just a place to put your logo. And then on top is like a fluff or a windscreen, kind of like on this one. And that's just to help cut down on your plosives so that it doesn't sound as poppy. And that's really all it is. SM58 endorsed by Stone Cold Steve Austin. I thought I was about to get X-rated again. Robert, that's for you, bud. I've probably had 5 or 10 where folks, I was mixing live shows, took the mic off the stand, dropped it, picked it back up, and still worked. It sounded the same. Yeah, I've done a million shows at really crappy bars where the 58, like this thing is, the entire ball cap is ripped up, torn up. I've had singers come up, they start singing, and it actually cuts their lips. And I'm like, it's not my mic, dude. It's the house mic. I'm sorry. It's probably been in use for 30 years. Frank Sinatra mic looks. Frank Sinatra sang into a U47 over at plenty of different places, but it was always a U47 for Frank. What do I think of the Townsend Labs mic? I think it can be really cool. I want to get my hands on one so I can actually hear it. But I think that and the other modeling microphones have cool concepts to them. But it's definitely a step in a very cool direction where you can make your microphone sound like a lot of different things. I think one more time someone did throw one down and it messed up and just had to swap it out. Yeah, they're $100 microphones. Just tune in next week for more of Tim rummaging through his closet off screen. Yeah, it's every week, man. But do come hang out. So what's your take on Audio-Technica 2035s? They're fine. The Audio-Technica, they make good stuff. The 2035, I haven't heard one yet, and I haven't used it. I think it's the bigger brother to the 2020, but the 2020 is popular for a reason. Not just because of price, but because of sound. It sounds good enough. It sounds fine. That one is basically flat response. The Rta measurement microphone, he's saying it is. It does have discrepancies. That's why you get the chart and you get the calibration file is what it's called. So you can actually make it flat. Yes. Beer spill all over the 58 still works. Bleh. I hate that smell. It just comes right back to me. Like a Blues Bros gig behind chicken wire. That 58 would survive. Absolutely. Modridan, I was talking about that one that looks like it's in a cage. Silver. Can't think of which one you're talking about there, Modridan. Suggested dynamic mics for recording a bass cab into Studio One. Vibrant. Yes, I would use a dynamic. Honestly, I would use a combination. Doesn't matter. Vibrant active 5-string bass. Yeah, you could multi-mic your cab where you put a dynamic in, and actually what you could do is do something like a 57 pointed at the cone of the speaker of your bass cab, and then take something more like a condenser or something else and put it outside, not at the cone, not at the dust cap. Excuse me, I meant the 57 right at the center at the dust cap. And then you take your another microphone and you put it more towards the cone, separate it out a little bit, so you can get lots of, and you can treat them like EQ in your DAW. It's the same speaker, the 57 and the other thing, or whatever your microphones are, will sound different, and you can use them like EQ and sum their channels together before you even pull your EQ out. You want it a little brighter, a little bit more of this mic. You want it a little darker, maybe a little less of the first mic and a little more of the second mic. I have 2035, good for YouTube videos and freestyle, says Modradin. The AKG D112 sounded really good on my 410 bass cab. It's a kick drum mic. Yes, those are large diaphragm dynamic microphones, similar to this, or I think I have a Beta 52. That one's downstairs. The Beta 52 is the Shure kick drum microphone. Yes, how is the dust cab different? The dust cap, how is it different? It's brighter. It's brighter at the center of the speaker. So you'll have more highs and more articulation at the dust cap of your speaker than you will from the cone. For bass, I just use DI and use Rex Brown Bass VST. Yeah, the Rex Brown is the one from JST, if I remember correctly. You can get any type of sound you want. Yeah, it's very versatile. Matthew goes, Shure 55SH, that's the old... Oh, yeah, that's the old style one. That's the Shure 55. Series 2, dynamic. Yes, it is dynamic. Just acquired one of these and haven't used it yet. Any good? Those microphones are more so built for their looks. They sound okay. They again, you have to judge how the thing sounds yourself, because it might not be the right mic for the source that you have it on, but it might be the right mic for a different source. It's very different, very important. Is to judge how it sounds on the source you put it in front of. It may or may not be the right mic. There is no one-size-fits-all mic. There's a few that a lot of people would suggest. This is one, and it's one that I suggest. A lot of things sound great on a 57. But the Shure 55s, those are the old style looking ones. Almost like the rockabilly looking microphones. No, JST. Joey makes awesome stuff. I do a bunch of work for Joey, so I like him and his stuff, and I have most of it. But yeah, JST plugins, JST tones. They make great stuff. Love the 55SH. Great for vocals. It is built to be a vocal microphone, and I think Metallica uses those. They may use custom ones, but essentially that's what they're using. So if it's good enough for them, again, you always compare it to, like, this was good enough for Tom Petty, Elvis Costello, etc., etc. All right, everyone. I've got the driest mouth in the world. You guys have been awesome. I am very impressed with all of the things that you guys have been saying in chat today, and I appreciate everyone coming and hanging out, talking about microphones, talking about polar patterns, talking about designs and how we can use these things, getting nerdy over different parts of mic chains and how it all works. So what are we taking away from this? There is no one size fits all. If you have more than one microphone, try it on the thing you're trying to record. Judge what sounds good, what sounds better. Mess around with distance with your microphones, because that plays a big part in it as well. And other than that, go experiment, have fun. Go to garage sales and find the cheap stuff, because the used stuff that's going to get beat up at like garage sales or flea markets or stuff like that, you'd be surprised. That can probably sound really cool, or it can be like just an accent thing. I know there's a company out there that gets old telephones and wires them to be XLR microphones, and it sounds awesome. It sounds telephony without having to use EQ. It has a sound. It's it for chat. Where I am, there is a top hip-hop band for 20 years active and still use a $600 Rode NTK. No need for vocals to go through a $3,000 plus. Yeah, I mean, again, it's really all about the source. Ziggy, you're welcome for tonight. Jeff, you're also welcome for tonight. I'll thank you guys. Well, we almost got off topic, but the chat was lively. Yeah, so we got off topic plenty of times. So let's use the PGA Drum Kit 7 for Tama drums, and they sound really great on them. Exactly. If it sounds good, it's good. You can do it. That's really all it comes down to, is the microphone on the source. We should start an after hours, happy hour Zoom meeting or something. Yes, go ahead, do it. All right, going to bed. I have to replace my water heater costs. Oh, gotta replace your water heater. That stinks. Before my daughter's first birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday to your daughter. Happy first birthday to... all right, before we end it, everybody say happy birthday to Brian's daughter. Michael, thank you so much. You can do... Awesome. My middle name. Thank you, Music to Motion. Very informative. Great examples of the differences of microphones. Thank you all so much. Again, happy birthday to Brian's daughter. I hope she has a wonderful first birthday. You're doing a great job as a parent. And for everyone else, have a great weekend. Have a great next week. And I will see you on Friday of next week. We'll have way more fun. All right. Good night, everyone.